Hello guys, this is Kubase. Wow, the second half of the month updates really are looking like JP's, but there's a little bit more oomph to them than JP's. So, this is just small, but it's very plentiful. Without further ado, let's get into it. Starting from February 20th, we'll have no new side story event nor a event story recommendation period, so we immediately get to the freebies. We have two login bonuses, one for 10 days that will give us 3,000 quartz and 50 limestones, and the other is the late winter gift bonus, which is 3 days with each day giving 300 quartz, 3 bells, and another SS Selector, respectively. Now, the SS Selector received on the third day has these 6 memorias in its pool. There isn't necessarily a clear winner to choose in this pool, so pick the ones you don't have, but I recommend picking any of the SS2s, as the SS1s you can just get in the regular recruitment later on if you don't have them. Now, for the gameplay side of things, first we'll have the next Astrarium, number 5, Sirens of the Sands. For those who completed Chapter 4 Part 2, this is essentially the same midway boss of that chapter or part. For those who don't know and want to make this easier for yourself, you must bring a Memoria that gives elemental field to this fight, and yeah, as always with Astrarium, perfect time to experiment with A, S, and SS Memorias you haven't or barely used before, so use the planetary battles to do so. And next we'll have the next score attack, challenge number 35, Chained Disaster. As usual here on screen, the multiplier conditions for the next 2 weeks. I'm assuming you met our friend Flathand over here, whether as the Chapter 3 or Chapter 4 Part 1 version. This boss is based on the latter, so think of it as a more challenging version of it. Again, for those who don't know, very simple boss to beat, just keeping yourself from breaking from its heavy attacks is just the challenging part, essentially, and yeah. Now we get to the banners, and it's 2 banners with 3 new SS Memoirs, and thankfully after Unison Yuki, you can rest easy for the next 2 weeks at least. Unless you love these characters, of course. Before we start with the first Memoria, I have to reiterate that the future forecasts of these reviews are generally based on how good they are currently in JP. The forecast is, if they're still good, a year from now they are considered safe or above. But with the recent new element focus meta change in JP starting this news video moving forward, I'll be more critical of the new Memorias in accordance to those changes. Anyways, we'll start with the banner with 1 new SS Memoria and the one we all expected since last update to be in this one. First up is Carnival Rendezvous Carol, who is a fire healer. Her 14 SP EX skill, which like any other 31x EX skills is usable at 0 SP or above, recovers your entire party's DP by a moderate amount while giving frontline fire memorias only with large attack up and funnel or hit count with a 5 times 10% potency, though it's reduced to 5 times 6% like fellow funnel providers following that update. Then her non-EX skill at 8 SP and also usable at 0 SP or above grants your frontline 3 turn DP regen, and when it comes to her passives, LB0 gives plus 15% defense up if the enemy is moving and your frontline unit's DP is at or above 100% if I understand it correctly, and LB3 amps up her large attack buff by 25% to increase it to about 100% at minimum. Overall, this Memoria only works for Fire Team and is essentially a replacement for Union SS1 inside hypothetical Fire Team. It is unfortunate as this Memoria was released before Diva, Ruka, and JP, and if this is essentially just a better Union for Fire Teams, then you already know where she would place after Diva, so her future is not safe. Next, we move on to the banner, and I'ma be honest, could have released it an update or 2 earlier since New Year Memorias and all that. Anyways, first of the 2 is The Night Under the Cherry Blossom, Risa Mama, who is a good healer but shines more as a buffer and debuffer in specific situations. Her somehow cheap 9 SPX skill purges your party's debuffs inflicted on them up to 3 debuffs, plus large DP recovery. Then if she removes any debuffs, at least 1, she gives your entire party Mind Eye and large attack up. So hypothetically, if you're facing an enemy that spams debuffs, pair her up with Diva Ruka and you practically cover every general buff. And her non-EX or common skill at 4 SP gives an ally single 1 debuff removal. And with this next effect of this skill, you have to play with RNG-kun as this skill also gives 2 to 5 turn continuous DP regen, so you need luck to effectively use this skill. And now her passives, LB0 gives 10% more overdrive after using her react skill, and LB3 gives your party plus 2 SP after using her react skill. Overall, she's a very niche general healer, mostly used for enemies that spam debuffs on your party. Right now, she's pretty good, but currently in JP, she hasn't seen much uses aside from support slots later on, so her future is so bordering on not safe. Lastly is Wintry Fortune Akarin, who is a high risk, high reward, AoE breaker slash blaster hybrid. Her 16 SP EX skill strips enemies' buffs with AoE Dispel plus a 4-hit fire AoE attack with a 50% DP modifier. This skill has two states, negative and non-negative. AoE Dispel damage and DP modifier stays the same in both states, but the SP cost halves to 8, and the DR damage is 6 times higher if she's in the non-negative state. Then her 7 SP non-EX skill, much like Swimsuit Karen's common skill, grants EX double cast, but unlike Karen, Akari is Akari, so you have to gamble 40 to 60% for success or 60% to 40% on failure. You can get the effect on both results, but failure gives you to turn 100% self-defense down. She has two LB0 passives. First is objectively the worst in the game and truly faithful to who Akari is. So, if you get this reference, she's fucking Regigigas, since this passive gives her self-negative mind that both lowers her damage and increases damage taken by 100%. So, first 5 turns, do not use her at all unless you're prepared. But her second LB0 passive gives her self-funnel or hit count with a 5 times 12% potency, and it can't stack twice, so this is essentially the equivalent of Dibaruka casting her common skill on someone without the debuff buff. And LB3 gives plus 50% overdrive if she removes a buff from an enemy. Overall, again, there's no way to describe her better than a high-risk, high-reward Memoria. Overcome her negativity, and she's one of the best AoE blaster slash breaker Memoria to use, even though she's breaker. Her feature is only so-and-so, bordering are not safe, but unlike Risa Mama, she is only not safe if you don't use her correctly. From an elemental perspective, Fire Caro or Caro SS2 is essentially Union SS1 for fire teams. New Year Akari is an excellent blaster slash breaker hybrid if you overcome her negativity, and from a general slash common perspective, New Year Risa Mama is a debuff removal Memoria that, if in the right situation, is an excellent Memoria to use, and especially so if paired with Dibaruka. Though I will say both banners are generally skipped, so meta players, your quartz are safe for now. Though as always, if you love the characters, their artwork, or want their specific abilities, feel free to ignore my advice and pull for them. The last banners I have to mention are the Buffer Step Up Recruitment, the New Year SS Guaranteed Recruitment, and Assyrian Feature Recruitment, which are all skips. And lastly are the New Year Shards Set A and Set B that came with this update. These are for the worlds out there, and yeah, that's the end of the video, guys. So subscribe with the notification bell so you won't miss any of my videos. Share as a friend and watch this video next right here. So yeah, see you guys next time. Bye!